that works.
Guys.
Holy shit.
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that's what I
Getting
was
a
like.
little heavy.
Christ
You said you
almighty.
didn't want to get too sloppy.
Maybe there's a drunk Abby in the
Oh, good. It'll be fun, just like
The
Dead by
driver
Daylight.
has changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drunk Abby is in charge now. I am the captain.
Something different.
Yeah. So we need some gin. No.
We have plenty of gem, and we have lots of rum apparently. Okay. All right. So it is August 8th, 2019. Welcome to another episode of Muddled Dice. I'm Dan.
I'm Abby. Hi, guys.
I'm Sean.
I'm Cole.
Hi, I'm Celeste.
And let's jump into it. So first thing I had on the Trello was Rockstar is finally converting their contract testers to full-time employees after like all the shit they caught for basically treating people as employees, but not.
Without the benefits.
No benefits,
Yeah.
no like overtime, and being able to just be fired at the drop of a hat.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it's like a good step the company's taking for labor. But what I found weird is they don't want to talk about it. Like the guys from Kotaku tried to like, hey, you want to talk about this really nice, good human thing you did? And they're like, no.
Well, it probably comes from a place
that-
of they didn't really want to do it, but then they're kind of
Maybe.
like, oh, well, Rockstar's kind of been like perceived as a garbage place to work for a long time. So it was probably just maybe we should stop doing this thing.
You would think they'd want to like
Publicize
lean into that image.
Are
though.
we sure
Yeah.
it's Rockstar and not Take-Two?
Oh, that's a fair question. Yeah, the article or the actually, there was barely even an article because no one would like confirm it.
Yeah.
It said Rockstar,
Okay.
so
Because I heard a story recently where Take-Two lost it on some Twitcher, I guess, Twitch streamer who had like watched their trailer for Borderlands 3, and they had too much information, so I had like the Twitch users, they were streaming his Twitch ID on there.
Yeah.
And so he just followed the Twitch guy, and apparently when you're streaming, you don't see the stream, but you see thumbnails kind of updated from the stream.
Okay.
And so he managed to find the streamer, could get images of the thumbnail, and then sort of derived features or characters or things from that. And when Take-Two found out, they came down on him hard with what do they call those things?
NDA?
The
No.
YouTube
Well, no,
kind of
NDA.
thing.
like a DMCA.
copyright
DMCA,
strike.
yeah.
Yeah.
DMCA, and like his Twitch went down. I don't know if he did it on purpose or if they got shut down.
That's
like,
really-
under pressure.
That's really interesting because I know that like Twitch has this new system in place that are like these bounty things that like if you do specific stuff while you're streaming, Twitch will give you like a kickback, and it's like play this game for an hour or play this trailer for this thing twice. And I'm pretty sure that Borderlands 3 was like one of those things.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
interesting
like
to
they
me that
apparently
he
had
like
hired like investigators and sent them to his house.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
And like did all this crazy stuff. Like, how do you know what you know? And he's like, I just followed the public information. You guys, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
you didn't mean to put it out there, but it got out there, and I just
Yeah.
followed it.
Yeah.
And so I don't know where that guy stands right now, but I think they cleared up most of the DMCA's you caught him.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 6 out of 7 or something like that. You know, some random.
Twitch
most
is wild, dude.
of them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's like sending.
And
Like
that's what made me think
PIs
maybe
to
it's not
his-
Rockstar, maybe it's Take-Two, since they're kind of out for blood in some regards.
Could be, yeah. But then you would think like if it was Take-Two, they wouldn't have
You would
done
think.
that.
Why would they hide that thing? The testers going full time.
Yeah, it seems like it's a good thing, and then like, why would you want to?
Maybe they're just on super lockdown mode and they don't want to talk about anything.
Or like it's not entirely true. I mean, maybe it could just
That would
be
be
a rumor
that
coming.
would be bad.
It could
Yeah.
also be like you're on a temporary basis as
You're an
like
employee,
a
but not.
employee.
Yeah.
They don't want it to be official because then they have to stick with it and they'll have to answer for it if they take it
Because
back.
that's how it is
Yeah.
for a lot
Yeah.
of people already. Like you get your contract and you're technically an employee, but it's like you're an employee for like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then you're out.
Yeah. But even so, even if it's just that, at least if they're getting like overtime and benefits,
Yeah.
That's
well,
better than the situation
They're not getting
before.
overtime. There's very
well,
little
no,
overtime.
but they said Kotaku did interview one of the new game testers, and she said that like they haven't had to work mandatory overtime since this new policy. So
good.
That is
I think it's
good.
been a couple
Yeah.
months.
Yeah, I don't really
Yeah.
know the life of a tester, but that's nice.
From what I've heard, it's awful.
Oh,
Yeah.
like that was the first offer I got out of college. I was like
Yeah.
going up there for programming, but then they started being like, tester? And I was like, do I at least get to look at code? And they were like, oh, if that's really what you're interested in, then never mind.
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
they say it's like playing a broken game for like 70 hours a week.
Yeah.
This was like those casino bar games type of thing.
Oh,
Oh god,
God.
that'd be even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather play like broken Borderlands 3 than like broken Magic Ocean Poker or whatever.
Well, and where is Rockstar out of?
Depends on which one.
I think
There's
they're
one in
headquartered
Austin.
Scotland, I
Okay.
Rockstar, there's one in. I don't know about that.
Canada one.
So my
I just know
Yeah.
there's one in LA and there's one
I was
in
gonna say,
Austin.
so my mindset
Yeah.
is that California has been cracking down super hard on like game companies and their treatment of their employees.
Yeah.
So I almost wonder if they're not really talking about it because they're worried that like if they do, it's gonna open this can of worms that might get them in
Just in
trouble with California.
Are there a lot of companies out in California?
Oh, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
like
game company.
yeah. So
Yeah.
like
I think
when
Rockstar Ready at Dawn is out there.
I
Yeah.
thought they all moved to Texas.
no.
There's a fair number in Texas, too,
There's-
but the
they're
majority are still like at least have a studio, even if it's not their main
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, they're mainly in like San Francisco right now, but a lot of them are leaving. But like when Telltale closed and they like fired all those people and were like, you're not getting any benefits, you're not getting any of the like 2 weeks like stuff. Like I don't know how far it's gone or if it's still a thing, but the state of California was suing them because there is like a statute of limitations kind of thing
Yeah.
that companies are just required to follow based on the state rules. So I would almost think that they're worried that they're gonna
Yeah.
get in trouble if like California finds out they were doing something they weren't
Yeah.
supposed to be
It's
doing.
really nice of
could be,
California to
yeah.
do that, but they end
Yeah.
up like scaring companies away.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not doing anything wrong, then you have nothing to be afraid of. Like,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's the same thing as any like industry in America. Is like certain people move outside because they'd rather get away with doing shitty things as opposed to
Yeah.
dealing with the like labor laws that the USA has in place. So that's why we don't have a big infrastructure for like American-made items anymore because
Yeah.
it's cheaper and there's less regulations to move it out of country.
Did you see? I don't remember his name, but the guy who does that Patriot Act show on YouTube.
I know. Oh, I can't think of his name.
Yeah, but he's got a new episode about like labor in the video game industry.
Yeah, I was watching
And-
that earlier today.
Yeah, it's really good. He was talking about like the Telltale situation and how like there was stuff like I didn't know about. Apparently, when they fired everybody, they gave them 30 minutes to leave the building.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
just like cut them off. They're
Why?
like, yeah, like no severance, no 2 weeks, no like your health insurance is
They
only
did it
good
in
till
the
the end
middle
of the
of the
week.
day.
Yeah.
The Telltale
Wow.
was,
I think.
yeah, the Telltale thing was massive
And
it
because
was
no
terrible.
one
Yeah.
knew, and it was the whole studio. So
Yeah.
they were just like, "Bye, everyone,
Wait,
you
so
don't
They
have
were in the middle of
jobs."
like two projects, two or
Yeah.
three projects.
Yeah.
Wait, so what was the public statement as to like why they fired everyone?
They
They
weren't
were
making
closing.
money.
Yeah, the company was closing.
Yeah.
So like Telltale Games,
Huh.
for you and for anyone that might not know about Telltale Games, they make like story-based, chapter-based.
Like
thank you.
click-through adventure games,
Yeah,
kinda.
which are really great, but they also have a really big like release schedule, and that they release almost constantly. And the number of employees they have / the revenue they make, because even though they're good games, they're kind of niche games that not everyone plays.
Yeah.
They don't have the revenue / the amount of employees necessary to like put those out in a way that's like in quote unquote, for me, in my opinion, humane for their employees. So they ran out of money, and so they closed the company, and then were like, hey, sorry, we can't pay you anymore. Peace out, Girl Scouts.
Yeah.
And like we're like,
Wow.
you guys have till the end of the day to get out of the office. We're not giving you health care because like there's the whole, if we fire you,
Yeah.
you get like these certain benefits
Right.
till a certain amount of, they were like, we're not giving anyone any of this.
That's the kind of thing that gives the
Wow.
industry a bad name.
yeah.
It does.
Like,
It totally does.
You don't want to get involved because you're like, I
Yeah.
don't want to play that game.
Well, and it's the same
Yeah.
way that, like, I think EA, and of course we all know how
Yeah.
EA goes, but like they hired like 150 people,
Mm-hmm.
and then like a day later there was an article about how they paid one of their new CEOs like over $1 billion
Oh,
to
that
become
was
a CEO.
that was right after the whole
Jesus.
like Anthem thing was happening too, where
Yeah.
people was like, "Why did Anthem
Yeah.
suck so much?" And then that huge Kotaku article dropped,
Yeah.
and you were like, "That's why
That's
Anthem
why.
sucked so much." And then that was right around the same time that they were like, "Oh yeah, EA's executive got this huge bonus," and that was around the same time that Activision Blizzard like laid off 800 employees,
Yeah.
and their CEO also got a huge bonus. And
Yeah.
so people were just pissed in general about all of that stuff at once.
and like granted, devil's advocate, but not really, because I have a game design degree. Like there is like this kind of checks and balances in where money goes in terms of budgeting. That like in some cases it can be like the money that you would have used to sustain these employees is not the same money that you would use to like give this like CEO a bonus. But at the same time, like if you're laying off that many people, like you can fucking figure it out. Like you're a giant ass company. You have a whole financial division. You can crunch those numbers however you need to crunch it so that you can save some of those employees.
And I don't know how like apocryphal this is, but didn't one of the guys at like Nintendo or maybe Platinum Games like cut half his salary to keep his team on?
I think it was Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nintendo.
Yeah.
So and that was when the Wii U was failing.
Yeah.
Like they released the Wii U and it was garbage. No one was buying it, so he cut his salary to make sure they didn't run at a loss.
Yeah.
Wait, so aside from Nintendo, are there any other companies that actually have like a good reputation?
Blizzard used to be the one.
Blizzard used to.
They used to be it.
CD
Yeah.
Projekt Red, I don't know.
Well, they used to, but now isn't shit coming out about them too?
Well, people think that CD Projekt Red is transphobic because they did some like transphobic stuff in The Witcher, or like made comments about it, which I was not aware of. But then they made some really interesting trans art for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, in my opinion, blown out of proportion because the artist came out and said like, "Hey, I'm trans and I made this," and it was like my vision of the dystopian future where being trans wouldn't be so weird anymore. But it was like trans fetish poster art, kind of weird. So stuff, I don't know. That's the only bad stuff I've ever heard about CD Projekt Red.
So I've actually heard that they have like a huge turnover rate because like they work
Employees.
their employees so hard.
Yeah.
Oh.
So like their games are amazing. Like don't get me wrong, but I've heard that they have an game, but like they have a huge turnover rate for employees because they work them as hard as they do. And their like bigger studio is out of country too, so I don't even know like how that even facturs into it.
How's that company that makes Star Citizen?
I have no idea.
Considering how it just goes nowhere and makes tons of money.
Who is that?
I don't know his name, but they're European based. That's all I know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like any game companies that have a track record for being good
Well,
to their employees.
Yeah.
I think Hello Games is pretty good. They're the ones that made
No Man's Sky.
No Man's Sky, and they botched it, and then they were like, "We're gonna fix it."
Yeah.
And I think it's still the small indie team, but it's their first game, and they're indies.
And they're
it's not
super
quite.
Yeah, I think as you go more towards indie, maybe you find it.
I think
Yeah.
the company that makes Warframe, I've never heard anything bad about them.
They're based
Okay.
out of Canada, and they make a decent amount of money, I think, off that game.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much their only?
That's their only IP,
and,
yeah.
and they're called
Warframe.
on the top of my.
I don't remember off the top of my
Yeah.
head.
Digital Extremes or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard anything bad about Double Fine.
No, I don't
Double
know.
Fine's
I
pretty
usually
good,
don't
I
hear
think.
I don't know what the last thing they made was, other
Yeah.
than like Costume Quest.
They make so many things; it's hard to track.
They make a lot of little stuff now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I mean, like Costume Quest was fun.
Digital Extremes, nailed it.
There you go.
The hard thing is like, so in 1920s, early 1900s, when like working in a factory was terrible, unions started. With like game making, that workforce, there are no unions. So there is no unified voice to speak for what should be considered humane and proper for a game designer to have to work in terms of conditions. So I know a lot of like game designers have been talking about unionizing, but it's really hard, especially because like I think in some places unions are still good, but in others they're not really. And so in a lot of cases, unions, especially for larger companies, carry a very like negative connotation for what could happen to them, especially in the companies that treat their employees fairly poorly. And so it's this issue of there is no standard set in the game industry of what should be considered humane and like proper for like the game industry as an employee. And I think that's partially just because it's such a new and not as new as it used to be, but still could be considered new in the big flick of things, such a new industry, and that a lot of people still look at it as a primary art-focused industry, and that whole idea that you should suffer for your art, and so like you shouldn't be complaining kind of thing.
Do you think it would follow in the footsteps of like the film industry?
That's, I think, because there's still a lot of problems with the film industry in terms of labor laws, and it's like,
But usually when you're big, you have to deal with unions. You can't get away from that.
Well, I mean, according to that thing from on Patriot Act, the video game industry is bigger than like the music and film industry combined now. But I think it still has, like Abby was saying, it still has that like art kind of thing. Like you should be here because you love it, and you don't love it if you're not willing to work 80 hours a week for shit pay.
Yeah, I kind of had that same conversation with the previous boss. He's like, "You just want money?" I was like, "Well, yeah, that's why I'm
Because
here.
I need to live.
As much
Like,
as
I
I
love
like
doing
doing
this,
what
but I still
I
wanna
do,
survive.
I'm here for money. I didn't come here.
Yeah, and like even if I'm working on a project I love, like I still need to pay my bills. I still want to sleep sometimes. I still want to have a social life.
Yeah.
And like
I
if
can't
I have
live
a
on
family, I want to like see them.
Yeah.
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 Wait, so what about European companies? Is
I
that
don't
like
know.
about the same as what's in America? Like I have a feeling like just
I
because
bet
of
you it
like
varies, but I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would I don't know. I don't know how labor laws
I know.
are across the EU, or if they vary from country to country still.
I know in Japan labor laws are very lax to say
Yeah.
the least,
Yeah.
where it's like Nintendo does a good job because I think they're cognizant of the fact that they like have such amazing consistency with their
Yeah.
games. So I think they just recently, we talked about this on a previous episode, they recently delayed Animal Crossing. They recently delayed Animal Crossing so that they could not go into crunch, which is awesome. That's an awesome
People got
move.
mad at them.
Well, yeah, they got mad because
Like-
their favorite game is going to get delayed, but
Yeah.
I think
it's a
it's-
good move because it's like, you know, we're not going to have to crunch for this game now.
Yeah.
I think it's also dependent on the fact that, like, at the end of the day, and I can't speak 100%, but, like, the culture around working is different.
Yeah.
So, like, in Japan, work culture is, like, very ingrained in life in general. It's not, and again, I don't think necessarily in saying that I think it's right, but, like, to them, work is part of that life balance. Like, you work, like, you exercise at work, you, like, you know, most of your friends are at work kind of thing. So it's a little different, but, I think it goes again to the whole concept where a lot of actually you see it in the animation industry right now because they have kind of started setting standards. A lot of them are moving outside of the country because standards are different in other countries. And like for you good?
Yeah.
You good? For as a good example, like
never
food
fix anything in
service,
post.
Yeah.
like or customer service, like they're a lot stricter in terms of taking care of the employees.
Yeah.
Like I think Walmart is not in like Sweden or something because they wouldn't
wow.
like it's probably not Sweden. I'm probably wrong, but they're like not in a major country because
Wow.
they refuse to comply to their specific labor laws. Because there are a lot of countries that are like, you know, our people are our greatest commodity, and you know, it's great that you're bringing this extra economy to us, but like at the end of the day, if you're running people ragged, then that's not what we want.
Yeah.
But again, I think that those standards, even in other countries, haven't really been set for the game industry because it's like a media industry, but it's like so separated from like movies or music or that kind of thing, and so people don't really know how to. And I think it also comes from that idea that like video games are still very engrossed in like technical things like coding and like computer sciences that like I don't think a lot of people, like even if you kind of have a vague idea, actually know the amount of time and the amount of skill that kind of lends to that, and so they have a hard time setting those like, hey, like I know you're making something fun for kids, but you also could like fucking make a program that could help defend the nation or something. Like you still have that skill, even though all your like, and I'm not trying to belittle game design, that's not what I'm trying to do, but like in their heads they see it as something simple and you're creating something for recreation, and so like I don't know that they know how to categorize that in terms of work.
Well, and a lot of people don't see it as something. Well, like you said, they see it as something frivolous.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if you don't like it, just do something else. And they don't think it has a purpose. But that kind of reminds you of something. I want to say it was a post from Rami Ismail, but I'm not sure. And like someone like kind of big in the industry says like, oh, like at the end of the day, we're just making these toys that have no purpose and are useless. And he's like, no, like people need entertainment to distract them from like the stresses of life, or it's art to give them perspectives on other stories and other people, and you know, inspire them. It's like games aren't just this useless thing.
So you see them on the same level as like movies and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they can be a waste of time, or they can also be sort of educational.
I mean, I think like any medium can be a waste of time or be educational and inspirational. Moving on. All right. So Bumble. Okay, I wrote the topic wrong. Bumble is sponsoring an all-woman esports team.
Bumble is the dating app, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want
Yes.
to double check.
What
Bumble
game
is
this for?
the dating app that women have to message first. Men
yeah.
cannot message first.
So if I remember correctly, the team that they're supporting is kind of like any other esports team where they have multiple people that are on different games.
Sure.
But past that, I know nothing. Yeah.
Oh.
Jon Snowing it up in here.
They're partnering with Gen
Do it.
G.
Just do it.
You're really reckless here, sir.
That's who I am.
That new haircut.
Right?
You got more?
I think it's good. I think
Yeah.
I know that there's always that talk that it's like, oh, well, why does it have to be all women? But I've also seen like more than one time women being like bullied off of teams that are like, they're not labeled all boys, so girls join them and then they're bullied off of them.
Yeah.
For one reason or another. And so I think it's like, it's really neat that they're giving them this kind of opportunity to, you know, be on that stage with other, you know, gamers, quote unquote. And I think it's cool that like Bumble is doing that because I know that they're kind of on the edge of, in terms of dating apps, giving women kind of the power to like make decisions and stuff. Not saying that other apps don't, but like there's definitely it's very woman like fronted, I guess.
As far as I know, Bumble is the only one that requires women to send the first message.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was curious. I'm looking through this article for mention of League because there was another team that did an all-female League esports team for a while, and they were actually relatively popular. I think like people were excited for the prospect of it, but I never saw them in any LCS games. I just saw that they were a thing, and there was news around them, but I haven't seen anything since. So I was curious if there was any mention of that because I know it's been done before.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the name of this team, but I think that the like esports team for this is that team. Like I think because you know how it's like Cloud9 is Cloud9, but their league, CS:GO, blah blah blah. I think that they work the same way. That like it's one like
they're like
label.
doing a partnership.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have players for a bunch of different games.
Yeah, or I'd hope so at least. I know I was hearing about one for Overwatch specifically, but I think it would be neat if they gave them the opportunity to have them for multiple like games.
Yeah.
They only play female characters.
They
Go
could.
all the way.
In most of the games they could.
For Overwatch.
Yeah.
I'd be really excited to see if they could break into League. League is so male dominated. It is nuts.
The only thing that concerns me is that when you do that on purpose,
Yeah.
it starts to draw kind of a bullseye on yourself.
Well, yeah. Because
You
then
know.
people are like, well, why is it only girls?
Your success or failure starts to get related to your female-only status.
Yeah.
And I worry about that.
I feel like though maybe if they get like successful and they get like the opportunities they deserve, I can see that becoming like we started as only girls, but now that we have like got a footing, like we can have more than just girls in it. But I think like they were kind of in my mind their like goal is to make sure that girls have like the opportunity in some ways that they normally wouldn't.
Yeah, which is good.
I think too the interesting part is also not just the all girls team, but that Bumble, the dating app, is sponsoring them. And it's kind of like I was talking today with someone at Bad Wolf about like the esports are becoming more normalized and like more mainstream. Yeah. And you know, and like now, like there's a dating app that like sponsors an esports
I was gonna say
team,
you don't see Tinder sponsoring TSM.
They
So.
don't have any VR esports, do they?
I don't know.
Because I'm waiting for that. I'm waiting for the tipping point
That'd
where
be
you
interesting.
get the game everyone really wants to watch, whether you're a
Yeah.
gamer or not.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like garbage,
think-
but I'm gonna drink it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
What was in that again?
Rum.
Tell our audience.
Oh yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
drinking. It was originally coconut rum and tropical punch, and then we topped it off with pineapple crack, which is it rum and What is the other thing? Not curacao. Curacao. No, I was gonna say curacao.
No.
I was gonna finish
Curry.
it.
It's rum and curry.
Rum and curry. It's fantastic.
Now
Rum
you
and
got me confused. So
rum,
it's the
pineapple
Midori.
juice, and
it's
Midori.
the coconut rum.
Yeah.
Melon liqueur. The
Okay.
Midori.
Yeah.
And then just pineapple juice.
Yeah, it's trash. I'm
Yeah.
gonna drink it, but it's trash.
Well, it's good. Every failure
not
you learn from.
Yeah, not the pineapple. The pineapple. I'm not saying the pineapple mix is trash. I'm saying the combination of the two is trash. But you know.
So now you know.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll drink enough that I won't care anymore what it tastes like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
99 failures, 1 success, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
There you
There you
go.
go.
But yeah, and they're also, I thought it was interesting. They're putting so if you don't know, Bumble has basically 3 different sections. They've got Bumble Dating, which is for dating, Bumble BFF, which is for meeting friends, which is interesting there that they kind of segregate it. So on Bumble BFF, women can only message women and men can only message men.
Huh.
Apparently, I didn't know that because I've never used it.
So to be clear on it, it's supposed to be platonic.
They're trying to make sure it's 100%.
We're not banging
platonic.
if I'm messaging you on BFF.
Because I don't know, maybe it was like friends with benefits
There's
or something. I don't know what they were
there's
headed
also
for.
Bumble Biz, which
Okay.
is for like professional connections.
Oh
I don't know
wow.
if
They're
you can
trying to make like a
separate it.
social media
They're
kind
kind
of
of
thing.
pushing
Yeah.
it because Bumble was
Yeah.
originally a dating app,
Yep.
and you gotta muscle your way through that image to
Yeah.
start doing business. That was weird.
Is-
Gesture. Don't look at my gesture. Thank God we're on the internet.
Yeah,
It looked very
I think-
violent and terrible.
I
but
think it's only kind of weird because they only let on the BFF one let like women talk to women and men talk to men. For me, that would be more of
That-
the impression that's like, hey, I'm wanting to talk to you, but I'm not interested in dating you. That shouldn't necessarily matter about gender.
yeah,
Yeah, I want to kind of.
well, okay.
What if I want to be best friends with someone that happens to be a female?
Yeah.
Come on, Bumble.
Yeah.
But also,
I mean,
that's-
most of my best
but at
friends
the
are
same
women,
time, like
actually.
I know why they don't, because guys
can
will
see why
guys
they
will play
want
that
to.
They'll
angle.
abuse it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you
They'll be
guys,
like, "Oh,
not
I want to
girls,
be
but
friends,
guys.
but maybe more."
Yeah.
But that's so interesting because the CEO of Bumble, she used to work at Tinder.
Okay.
Isn't
That's
that the
right,
two
yeah.
Korean chicks? Am I wrong? They went on that show
Oh,
to do it.
wait, no,
Shark
I think
Tank.
that's
Shark Tank. It
Isn't
started
that
as
Coffee
Bumble,
Meets,
or was that-
I thought that
Coffee
was
Meets
Bumble.
Bagel?
That might have been
Oh, that
Coffee
might have
Meets
been caught. You're right.
Bagel.
Coffee
Yeah.
meets
Right.
bagel.
There are so
yeah.
many.
Yeah,
I
I know. How do you keep? Yeah, but like still, I don't know. I feel like for the
Yeah.
BFF, it should go both ways though.
Yeah.
Because I mean,
Yeah, well, I don't know. I haven't used Bumble BFF, but according to the Forbes article, only women can match to other women. So I don't know.
I need service though, because like I
It's
feel like
interesting, yeah.
I've heard that concern a lot with friends that like have to move to new areas. It's like I have no friends here, so I think that's
Yeah.
like a cool service. But again, like I understand probably why. Maybe they'll kind of expand it later on, but I can kind of
Yeah.
see why they're like only men with men. But like at the same time, like if I'm
Yeah.
into women,
Yeah.
I know,
Like,
right? You can't cover every
You
angle.
can't really.
yeah, like there's not.
But you could probably take a chance with the women thing over
Maybe.
men.
but also couldn't you just do like a background like verification like what they do for Airbnb?
Yeah, or
Where
maybe
you like,
a
you know what I
rating
mean?
system that like you have to have a rating over
Yeah.
like X,
Yeah.
Y, Z, and
Yeah.
like if you like match with a woman and you're a dude, and then you like make moves on her, she can like rate you down, and then it's like, oh, sorry,
Yeah.
you don't have
Do you
access to
remember
match
that
with
app?
women anymore.
I thought there was.
Yeah.
a
There was an
app
app where
that
you
did
could
that.
just rate people in general.
Wow.
Like rate
Oh,
people.
It was like
And
Yelp
it
for
immediately
people.
got
That
shut
would be-
down.
I would be very.
It got
I think
super
it's like a
creepy.
self-conscious thing.
Yes, it
like
immediately got shut down.
like
it's not
500
good.
people have rated me down. Am I ugly? Like.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
But what was
Sounds
the
like
one
an
that would try to
intense app.
track where you
Jesus
went and
Christ.
try to match you up with people that
People
went to the
near
same
you,
places?
or like
no.
near you at the time.
Happen.
Well, sort of near you, but also if you just cross paths. So it's like
Yeah.
if you've been to the
That-
Dunkin'
that's-
Donuts and then someone else went to the same
Yeah,
Dunkin' Donuts.
that's happened.
Okay.
If that's
yeah.
still around, because I feel like that
is still around,
If it
yeah.
didn't get shut down, it
It's
should
like
have.
I think
Well,
it's
no,
neat,
because
but
they
it
have
can
a
be
nice-
creepy.
Yeah,
be creepy.
that was basically the why it would
dying.
get shut down.
Well
Uh-oh.
said.
Walk it off. It's all good.
Happen does a good thing though. I think where they don't tell you that you matched, that you've like crossed paths with someone until like 48 hours later.
Okay.
So you can't be
Huh.
like,
It wasn't active.
oh, so no, it's not real time at all.
You're like, hey, I'm near this
Exactly.
person. Time
Yeah.
to go
Walk
find
up to
them
them in the
library.
Starbucks,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
hey.
Yeah.
That's one of those things. Like if it, I didn't even know it caught on. I thought it died. But you see people like hanging out with places
Well,
they wouldn't normally.
always been
They're
very
trying to
Oh.
increase the
Where
chances
we are.
of them getting connected. Like I hang out near the front door of Curves. That's where I hang out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
when you make
yeah.
a system like that, it immediately opens up or invites people to exploit.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
That is true. Yeah.
I don't think there's.
I'm tasting it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's supposed to be
But yeah, and Bumble BFF apparently added a gamer badge to their
Oh.
profile, so you can
Kinda
like
neat.
meet other gamers now.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I guess they're like
Yeah.
really leaning into the gamer and especially women gamer.
Now, when can
demographic.
you include
Yeah.
that with my PS Plus subscription so I don't have to go far?
That's yeah. Just connect the two like the way you connect Facebook
Partner
and
with
anything
Sony.
else.
Why not? It's
Yeah.
integrated Twitch. Just integrate
Yeah.
your dating service now.
Yeah, yeah. I'll share my like gaming clips to OkCupid.
Guys, speaking of which,
Oh.
speaking of Twitch, so for
Oh.
any of you that are listening to this podcast, I stream on Twitch sometimes. I'm gonna start more now that I'm like not.
Shameless
Yeah, I know. Plug
Yeah,
your name.
she
We gotta do
fuck.
this.
No, it's relevant, okay? I'm not giving them my username.
username?
I'm not
Exactly.
giving them my username because this isn't a shameless plug.
No, but you
Um,
should.
No.
Classy plug.
You
No,
can
it's fine.
should.
It's fine.
You should.
But like, I'm very big on like, because I know how the Twitch like kind of algorithm works. So to be affiliated, which means that you can have subscriptions, and so therefore past like donations begin gaining revenue from Twitch, you have to have at least 3 viewers on average for a month, like per stream, 50 follower, and then 50 followers. So like for me, anytime I like run into another streamer when I'm like playing a game, if they're a small streamer, I'll like follow them back, like because I'm like, I get how this works, like you're growing, you know, that kind of thing. And I like followed this guy that I played against when I streamed last week, and he messaged me.
Oh no.
Oh,
Like
Jesus.
2 days ago. He's like, and he wasn't even streaming when like I added him, like followed him. It was just that I saw that he had a like Twitch, so and he had like streamed before, so I was like, oh, I'll follow him. And then one of my like viewers pointed out that he had like stolen art, so I was like, probably not. And he like messaged me. He's like, hey, you added me, and then we've never talked to each other. Smiley face. And I'm like, please don't talk to me.
This is a professional courtesy.
Yeah, please don't talk.
Yeah.
And he's like, we've never played together, and I'm just like, in my head, I'm
That's
just
right.
like, correct. Please don't talk to me.
They should have little tool tips come up like, are you sure?
Yeah.
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 Like
Yeah.
OkCupid has when you send someone a message, they're like, would your mother want to read this?
There you go.
God, I love it.
Yeah.
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 Just
Yeah.
Yeah.
imagine it was another dude. Would you do this now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you word this way?
Yeah.
Oh men.
We are awful.
You're not all of it. It's fine. It's fine.
Hey.
All right. So Amazon is making a Lord of the Rings show.
Yes. Yes.
It's like a prequel.
Oh, that's
to
gonna be
But-
dangerous.
But also they had to sign in the contract that they are not allowed to make any changes to the canon of the novels.
They're working with
Oh,
Tolkien's
thank
estate.
Christ.
Which is
yeah,
good.
They're
Yeah,
not
I mean,
allowed. Yeah.
It's sad they had to tell them that, but
Yeah.
all right.
Well, I wonder why they had to tell them that.
Well, they should just know
Probably
right
just
out.
making
Like,
sure.
don't mutilate the material, or
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are not gonna like it.
Well,
you
and-
know.
Like for all intents and purposes, like I love Tolkien, but like let's be honest, a lot of his characters are very of their time. Like
Yeah.
there's the whole talk about how I think like orcs are like supposed to be a representation of like Jewish people or
Yeah.
something like that.
Oh,
Like
God.
there's a lot that's
What
like
the hell?
problematic with Tolkien,
No,
and
I
I
feel
can
the same way about
accept
H.P.
that.
Lovecraft.
Yeah,
Because I've
like,
never read the book, so I can't speak from that angle.
No, and there's nothing in the books that is like overtly, oh, hey, that's racism. But
Yeah.
like you realize who he was and like what time he lived in, and like orcs are supposed to be Jewish people, and like it's gross and it's not great, but like you can understand that it's problematic and still enjoy the content. But for me, I wonder when they sign that contract, like what are they trying to keep them from?
I think it's like the
changing?
X-Men, where you have directors just come in and go, I don't care what you wrote. Like,
I'm gonna
how many
use
times do you
your
watch somebody do
world,
Star
but I'm
Trek or
not
something
gonna,
like,
like-
I've never read the material. It's like, then you should not be directing this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah.
From what I've read, they had to promise Tolkien's estate that they're gonna keep the history intact
Okay.
because it takes place
Okay.
in the Second Age, I guess, which is the age before Lord of the Rings takes place. So
Right.
like there's certain beats in the history that like you have to respect. And you can't like you
Well,
can't.
because without them, there wouldn't be.
it
Lord
wouldn't
of
make
the
sense.
Or
Rings.
else you're going to
Yeah.
Star Trek it, you know?
Yeah.
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 They're just going to
Okay.
start
I started.
mutilating.
Never mind.
Yeah, don't
That'll come up later. Maybe.
It's fair
Bring
though.
it up
Like,
at the end.
I think it's
Yeah.
very interesting, and I'm really excited because the Lord of the Rings is like a huge universe that's like very influential to who I am as a person and like the type of worlds that I enjoy. So I'm excited to see like more like video type like media about it because it's just
Well, there's a lot
that
to
I'm
it. I
super
think you could
into.
make a series out of it.
Yeah.
But I like that they asked them to
Well, it's-
basically respect the material.
Especially if you only have like basic historical points, and then like everything else is kind of free game. You can make up all the details around those historical points.
Yeah. Like,
It's like if we were making a historical documentary about World War II, and we were like, Franz Ferdinand, World War One. We were like, Franz Ferdinand got shot, and Russia invaded Poland. That's all you have to do. You make up the rest.
have they
Yeah.
said roughly what they're trying to do?
I don't know.
Because I think like Star Wars, where like he had established certain things, but then they did like Old Republic.
Yeah.
Things he had never thought about, and it's like, yo, you can play all there all you want. So
Yeah.
maybe they're trying to do between First and Second Age things that were unaccounted for, or maybe
Yeah.
in the Third Age,
Like
somehow.
tying some
like
stuff
after
up.
Well, it's
Lord of the Rings.
The article on CBR Comic Book Resources. I don't remember. It said it's all about the Second Age.
So kind of
Okay.
and maybe I'm wrong because I haven't played the Lord of the Rings video games, but kind of in the same time as the Lord of the Rings the Shadows of Mordor games. Is that kind of vaguely-ish?
I don't remember much of the lore of those games. Did that take place in the Second Age?
I think so, because like I think like the whole thing is that like he is accompanied by the spirit of the elf that made the original rings.
That's right.
So I don't pretend. I read the original Lord of the Rings books. I read the Hobbit books. I don't pretend to like know my timelines that well. But like if in my head, Second Age would be around the same time that the Shadows of Mordor games are happening.
So the CBR article says that the Tolkien estate insists that the main shape of the Second Age is not altered. Sauron will invade Eriador, is forced back into a Númenórean expedition, returns to Númenor, corrupts the Númenóreans, and seduces them to break the Band of the Valor. And so apparently all of that has to remain intact.
Okay.
Those are always interesting to make prequels because you know how they turn out. You know, like
Yeah.
Sauron could be like, "I'll rule for 1,000 years." She's like, "No, you're not.
No, you're not.
I know this thing how this works."
Yeah.
So it's always interesting to see how like what characters they're gonna make the focus.
Yeah.
People you don't know the fate of.
Yeah, it could. I mean, like, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but like, I liked Rogue One, even though like I know how it ends.
I like
they
Rogue
get to
One.
the end
Think
and they
of
all
the
die.
characters.
That's true. Yeah.
Like the characters, like live who die. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was like Darth Vader. You'd be like, he lives.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
no
that's
problem.
that's like the thing is like past like Sauron, there are so many like opportunities for these aha moments of characters even that we know to like today.
Yeah.
Because even in the like Lord of the Rings films, the ones that were around during that time, is it Eldaron, the like high elf of
Alderaan?
Is it Eldaron?
That's
Am I wrong?
The planet that Princess Leia came from.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I'm getting
I know what you're going for, but I don't know the name.
Yeah.
Isildur,
Yeah.
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Like he was in the original like fight against Sauron.
Assassin's
So
Creed.
like having like showing his story or that kind of thing. Like there are so many opportunities for aha moments within characters that were alive during that time that survived even.
Yeah.
So.
The other thing that I think is interesting is apparently this first season is going to be 20 episodes.
Hey!
Which is like...
You said Amazon, right?
Amazon Prime.
Wow, they don't usually do that many.
Nobody does that many episodes
Not
anymore.
Isn't The Boys only like 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, boys, like
Which is
Stranger
normal.
Things. Stranger Things was
Yeah.
8. Like I
Are
was
they
telling
only
you
gonna be
guys,
30 minutes
Dairy
long?
Girls was 6.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I
true.
was saying they're gonna be like 15-minute long episodes.
Yeah.
Which is good, because
But-
The Boys was too short.
Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if they're actually gonna have like a continuous plot, or if they're just gonna do like snippets and
Maybe
kind
like
of
a
like
story per
Yeah.
episode kind
yeah.
of thing.
It's got to be like
That'd be
kind of a
interesting.
risk assessment thing. Like,
Right.
do we think we have the longevity, or do we want to curb our bets with a shorter story?
But they could even do like maybe one reoccurring character that kind of is prevalent in each
Oh,
one, but
yeah.
still
Connecting
have like
thread.
different.
Yeah.
That would be
Shows up in different places and events.
Got to make a good
Yeah.
character though.
Yeah.
I just wish comic books would do that in general. Just come by, respect the material.
Yeah.
Please
Instead
do
of
not make a
retconning
junky.
everything every 5 years.
Yeah,
not
or when they
it's a
just.
new
Flashpoint.
universe.
I always think
Yeah.
of the X-Men, where like,
The
what
Flash
was it,
just
the
fucked
third
everything
one?
up.
The third X-Men, where the guy was like, I don't read this stuff, I don't care, I'll make my own X-Men.
Yeah.
Like, screw you guys.
Yeah.
Like,
Are you
come
talking
on.
about the movie?
Yes.
And then he remade the movie and it failed again.
Yeah.
This is the guy that said, I want to do the Dark Phoenix storyline. It sucked. It was real bad. Failed. And then they're like, you know what? We're going to redo Dark Phoenix. Let's give it to him again. Sucked. Failed. Awful.
Gotta stop.
It
Gotta
bothers
stop.
me every time they say it, and they almost say it with pride or something weird. We're like, I never even
Like,
read
I
the
don't
source
respect-
material.
yeah.
What are you
Which is-
doing?
How do you expect to make anything good?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. Like, I think like comic books aren't respected as a storytelling medium. So like you get people, like you said, in like making movies out of it. They're like, oh, we just took these characters. We don't care about the comic books. It's like,
I always think
Where
of
do you think the
Shakespeare in
characters
those
came
moments.
from?
Like, nobody does that. They're like,
Yeah.
I got the gist of it.
nobody
Yeah.
takes Romeo and Juliet and it's like, oh, but Romeo and
never
Juliet
read
don't
it.
love each other. What the
What are
fuck?
you doing?
Like,
This is the story. Stick to it.
yeah, awful. What else do we have? Selling personal data for AI.
For what?
Do we
No,
want
they
to talk
can
about
have
that?
it.
For AI, would you say?
I,
So-
Celeste
for
article.
one, welcome my AI
Overlords.
overlords.
Yeah, they can have
Yeah.
my
Google?
data. I don't
Yeah.
care. If they find out that I'm
Cheers,
searching
Skynet.
for
Exactly.
whatever I'm searching for, whatever, they can have it.
So like at one point I was like super excited. I was like, yeah, I mean this could be a great idea, but then it's already like in the notion that like, oh yeah, 23andMe already has like how many millions of
You need
people's
to
like
back up and explain a little bit. I'm
Yeah,
not up with
expand
you.
a bit.
so like
I think you're the only one that
basically
read any of the articles.
so basically there's this company called Cara, and they basically want to like kind of in a way like establish like a currency and kind of like an exchange rate for medical personal data, but also at the
That's
same time like your insurance company already has all of that information, and like 23andMe, and it's like, can you actually like put a rate on like how much like selling information about like your blood pressure,
Yeah.
you know,
Huh.
There's
for new
actually
technologies
kind
and
of
stuff
leaning
like
into
that.
this, but not totally. I don't remember the name of the app, but there's an app that's very similar to that, and it's a
Mm.
messaging app. And it's like we
Oh.
learn you and the people you talk to's like the way that they speak, and can tell
Mm-hmm.
you if they're like responding back to you in a way that like insinuates that they're like angry or nervous or
Oh,
blah blah blah,
wow.
and then like help you like work. And it's like, I don't know
That's-
that I want you that in
No.
my biz.
I
don't.
find
Wow.
it intriguing. I won't
Intriguing,
lie.
like, it's kind of neat
because it might
Like-
understand text messages better than I do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Like,
at the
like
same
I'd be like,
time,
what is he saying? He's like, and it has to step in and go, he was being sarcastic.
Yeah.
You need to
Yeah.
understand
Calm
that.
down. Yeah.
But at the
Well,
same time, it's like, how, like, what algorithms are you pulling from, and how long are you listening? That's like, oh, I can tell that this person is
Yeah. It's
responding
gotta be-
negatively
what-
to
what do
you.
they
It's
call
an
it?
interesting technical and math problem, but like it just sounds really creepy.
What do they
too.
call that learning
Yeah.
where they just keep throwing stuff at it and let it go through iterations?
Oh.
Like evolutionary
Oh.
neural
Oh,
nets.
that's-
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
neural
Neural
nets or genetic algorithms.
So they'd have to listen to a lot over
Skynet
a
overlords.
long time,
Skynet.
a long period of time. That's the only way it works.
Let me see if I can. But it's something like Cora, which is why
Knowing
I thought
Google,
about
they've
it.
Which
kept
is-
every
it's-
text message since 2000
I'm sure,
or something.
Yeah.
It's
That's-
creepy. But then I also wonder too, like it seems like that would have a great false positive rate. Like I was talking with a friend the other day over text, and like she was texting me, but I was busy, but
Yeah.
still trying to text her back, so they were just kind of like short answers.
Yeah.
And when I saw her that night, she was like, "Oh, she's like, I thought you were mad at me because you were just texting like one word answers." I was like, "Oh no," I was like, "I was just busy. I'm sorry."
Yeah.
And like I feel like if we had that thing, like that messaging app would be like, "He's mad at
He's
you."
pissed
I'd be like,
off.
"Whoa,
He's
no,
really
I'm not.
pissed."
I'm just busy."
Yeah, and so I just pulled it up. It's called May. And it
Yeah.
says, so like personality traits, understand yourself and your friend's personalities. So like based on what you send, it like reads you. And then it's like similarity. This one was the one that got to me and made me super uncomfortable. It's similarity score. Find out how much you have in common.
Whoa, but then
I
like
kind
at that point, can't like the app just like start to like artificially shape your
Talk
friend's
for you?
Yes,
personality in your
exactly.
head
Yes,
and your
it could.
perception
I'm
of
thinking
them?
like they're trying to teach
Like-
an AI to how to talk to people,
Well,
how to read people when they talk to it, and how to talk back. And usually you have
Right.
to, you need some interaction with people, so you keep it on the right path.
Right.
Or else it ends up they're training in that Twitter bot where it thinks, you know, all hail Hitler.
Yeah.
but it's also
Yeah.
it's also I think super dependent, and like obviously they've probably had some insane testing on this, but like as a great example, I use exclamation points a lot in my text. For people that don't know me, and for people that like at my age that see exclamation points, they assume that you're mad or
Yeah.
you're like being an asshole.
Which it has to learn.
Like
from.
yeah,
Like-
I'm just like
Yeah.
I'm just happy and I'm excited and I like want to add that to my text, but like my question is how developed is this that it can read that like this is just how I talk and not like, oh, she's being an
Is
asshole and
this
she's
something
mad at you.
that's happening on the back end
Okay.
and no one really knows about? Or?
No, it
You
says-
know about it.
Well, it,
You-
it says in the description, May comes with an optional, and optional is bolded. AI assistant designed to improve your communication and relationships. I don't believe that last part.
I see how they're
It's
trying
creepy.
to teach a
It's
computer.
scary.
If you really want to
Yeah.
teach an AI how to be a person, this is kind of heading down the right
I don't want it
path.
to be a
but
person.
it comes with all the problems
Skynet.
that you guys are
Yeah.
concerned
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
You know, privacy and manipulation and things like that.
Wait, what's
When is my on May? When is my boyfriend gonna text me he's going to break up with me? But it's not actually my boyfriend. It's my Skynet overlords
Yeah.
that are trying to
Right.
isolate me.
I mean, it
Right.
leads down that weird what's it called, Black Mirror type of
Yeah.
section.
Yeah, oh,
You can
definitely.
see like, I'm gonna send out messages and I
Yeah.
need you to prettify this before the other person gets it, so it doesn't come off like an asshole.
Well, and then
Right.
all of your
Yeah.
relationships
Yeah.
become like almost like based on what this app is saying.
It's
Yeah.
a middleman.
It's like,
You're not
yeah.
really talking to the person like an augmented person or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah. But at the same time, it's how great would that be? Like, you know, you send out text
Not
messages,
great.
and but
Not great.
no one ever sees you as a jerk because they're like, "We're gonna make this awesome for you."
But how do you ever like if you're talking to someone in person and you come across as a jerk because you've never learned because this
Oh,
app
yeah.
is like
it's not perfect,
Yeah.
but I mean, if someone offered the service, I think people would take it. I once had played video games with a guy, And he was like, I'm not an asshole. My voice sounds like an asshole.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
like, I ended up having to mute him, and it was a whole thing. But it was just funny because the whole time I was like, no, it's you. It's not your voice.
No.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if someone offered that
Yeah.
service, maybe he'd take advantage of it. Like that something would alter your speech to make it more better received by the other end.
Right. But
In a business
It doesn't
sense
change
alone,
that
it's
you're
just
an
from a
asshole.
business perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe on an interpersonal relationship, it seems weird for us
Yeah.
to say, but like on a business level, maybe,
Yeah.
you'd be like, I
In
want to
the
make
same
sure my
way-
stuff always goes out and is well received.
And the same
Yeah.
way that it's cool that like Google AI can now like make appointments for you. Like it's
That
it's
is
Yeah.
like a
so
very
creepy. I hate when it tells me about things I don't even know about. Like, the flight's
I'm so
coming
not
in or a
for
bill's
AI.
due or
I'm so
something,
not-
and I was
I'm not
like,
cool with AI.
how are you know
Yeah.
about this?
Or
right.
like
Yeah.
at this point, and I don't know how to turn it off. Whenever I go to a location, Google is like, "Hey, we noticed that
Oh my
you
God.
just stopped at this. Do you want to leave a rating?
Review.
I don't want you knowing where I am."
Right.
Yeah.
But do you
Yeah.
think it's the future? And
No,
we're just, even though
I
you're
don't want
young,
it.
do you feel like maybe we've just accelerated things
No,
where
I
you,
think it is whether we
yeah.
you
want
don't
it or
accept
not.
change
Yeah.
as fast?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Oh no, change.
I think
of
it's
course,
like,
but
there's-
Well, I mean, like
it's-
in the future, maybe like the next, 16-year-old who doesn't know any better, he's like, oh, that's totally acceptable.
Well, yeah,
it's been
he
here
just-
since I've been
that's
here.
what he grew up
Yeah.
with.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think there's a certain level of automation that I'm willing to live with, like that whole like Google Home or like Amazon
Yeah.
like records while you're
Yeah,
not
that
like
creeps me
talking
out
to it.
so
Like
much.
that's a little but like at the same time it's like, well, this is cool that like, oh, I'm talking about how I need toilet paper next time I open my
Yeah.
thing. It's like,
Oh.
oh, hey, buy toilet paper. So I think there's
Yeah.
levels for me. Like I think this sort of automation is like really neat and makes the human experience super easy. But I think there's a line from like super great and super like helpful to super creepy and kind of like violating my basic human like privacy rights.
I think it's
Yeah.
hard to separate that line.
Yeah,
It
well,
is.
because it's
Like,
based on person.
Most of your
Because it
emails are
makes
what?
it-
Probably on Google somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure,
And you have
yeah.
to trust Google with whatever the hell is in those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, and you have to trade convenience for privacy.
Yeah.
Like if you really wanted privacy, you'd have like no internet and no phone and live out in the middle of nowhere.
And so I don't know
It's
if we're going
not
to reach a
convenient.
point where we get good AI that's self-contained and you're always going to be running off the cloud.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have to be making those choices, like
Yeah.
some
Well, I think
central
it's-
company database.
I think it's like relative to that whole thing that happened with Facebook where they got in a lot of trouble for selling people's personal information
Oh, that
during
was
the
great.
election. Like,
Yeah.
I think like definitely there are per person certain like things that you find more private than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as we grow into a community where there is this kind of omnipresent technology, they should also be working in the functionality that you get to choose what it like decides is not private and what is
Yeah.
private.
Yeah.
I think that line's just going to keep getting blurred as we go forward.
Yeah.
Just considering how we're relying so much
Well-
on cloud processing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to dither back and forth for decades until
Yeah.
we figure it out, because this is all new to us, like having artificial things that listen to us and record everything and like do
very
cool shit for
dystopian.
us, but are also like recording our every move and everything
Well-
we say and selling it to companies that want to sell us things. I think it's going to dither back and forth between privacy and convenience for a long time until
There's
we finally
so many
figure
Black
it out.
Mirror like concepts.
Yeah.
Or like
There is,
an
yeah.
AI that listens to you, waits and is listening for like psychological problems, so it can label you as a possible problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or something like
And
that?
one even like Google Home, like I asked it the other day to play some music, and then it's like, okay, sure. By the way, this band is playing near you in a month. I was like, that's really cool. But then like I was like talking with a friend about something else the other day, and then like ads started showing up for it. No, when I was at Bad Wolf, the brewery, and ads for hangover cure started showing up in my Instagram feed. And I was like, this is really creepy.
So creepy, right?
It's
So
like,
again,
the concert thing
They
was
probably
cool.
mean well,
This is
but
creepy.
damn if that doesn't come off as
Yeah.
creepy.
And I think again that's my thing is like as this evolves and becomes so much more ingrained in our life, there should be options in place in these systems
Yeah.
that you get to choose for you what is considered private and what like I don't care if you hear it, I don't want to see a fucking ad for this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or hey, if you hear me talking about blah blah blah, like definitely like
Yeah.
show me what you got kind
You know,
of thing.
I don't know if they do it already, but if they do, it's probably like that sort of like after the fact kind
Yeah.
of thing. Like not when
we
you're
have
first
it. Do you
setting
want
it
us
up.
to keep it? Yeah.
Like, hey, by the way, you
okay.
wanna-
Yeah.
Yeah. That's never cool.
Yeah. I think choice is the big driver for me, because like I've always been a big advocate of like privacy and all that stuff. And
You turn off all
and
the
then
Windows stuff.
I got the Google Home, And some people are like, well, hey, isn't that like kind of like not against your philosophy? I was like, well, no, because I chose to have it in my home.
Yeah.
I wasn't forced to. Like I chose it. I know the risk and I know what it's doing. I think I know what it's doing.
Yeah.
But like I chose to do it. I wasn't forced to do it. So, and like I think you were saying, like if you can choose to have it on or off, like do you want targeted ads, which are more useful but more invasive, or do you want random ads, which are less invasive but like you're gonna get advertised shit you don't want?
Yeah.
But it's in that weird spot where they would prefer not to ask you, because if they asked you, you'd say no.
Yeah.
You know, so they just kind of like, let's
well,
not ask him.
I mean, like with targeted ads, I prefer to get advertised video games and music stuff than like I can't think of anything right now for some reason. Anything I don't use.
Like I heard a story once that like one person was talking about how they were worried they had like ADHD, and then like the next day they were seeing like advertisements for like ADHD. Like I think there's a line.
Yeah.
Like if I'm talking about video games and I'm like talking about sci-fi video games, I'd love to see a specific ad for a sci-fi video game. But if I'm looking at like, sorry to go here, but if I'm talking to my friend about like underwear or something, I don't want to see an ad for underwear. Like that's not where I want to go.
So we need to teach the AI some level of privacy that's inherent that most people expect for whatever culture.
Like medical things, or like private things,
like a person. Like you're gonna hear things in your life.
Yeah.
These are things you should respond to, and these are things
we
you
need to
should
teach
not.
AI to know like this is just between me and you.
Yeah. If you hear someone say herpes, don't. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't tell everyone herpes. Like.
So you heard you talking about herpes. Oh,
yeah.
I think it's like also kind of interesting just the fact that like when like people are having conversations and like quote unquote your phone is like listening to you or your Google Home, it's just like there's like so many different ways to manipulate different kinds of data now. So it's like kind of like hard to quantify. I feel like we'd have to kind of have like something like the GDPR already in place over here.
Say that again. GDPR.
I don't know what it fully stands for, but basically in Europe, people get to like opt out of like companies collecting
that
their
sort of
data.
right to be forgotten.
It's why like every company has to tell you they have cookies now.
Yeah.
On their
so
website.
annoying.
I know.
Yeah. I'll take it though. Like.
Yeah.
Every time it's a new site.
Well, no, it depends on on my computer at home it's like just click, but like on the computers at work it's like wait 5 minutes and then they can click.
Yeah.
GDPR. I don't know. No one wants to tell me what the acronym is. General Data Protection Regulation.
Okay,
Yeah.
Do you? I don't even know what that means. I was gonna ask. Do you believe in that? I was like, I don't know. Like the right to the right to be forgotten thing.
Yeah, the general idea that like your general data is not to be sold to like every company that wants it. And again, I think that also came from the whole Facebook thing. Like they sold everybody's fucking data to whoever the highest bidder. Like
thing.
that's. And I think that's, in my opinion at least, what kind of like definitely pushed that to the edge is this idea that like, hey, I'm trusting you with personal information just because I am doesn't give you the right to like sell it to whoever you want. And that has existed in like technology for a while. Like you sign up for a website and then they sell your information to the emails that send you the like busty blondes in your area kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But like I think this went a step further in the fact that the information that they use, and I'm not going to argue one way or another that it influenced the election, but for all intents and purposes the information that they sold they then used to influence the election. So,
I don't think you can get away from it. As much as we all like to be invisible, I don't think you can get away from it. But like just today, I was buying the alcohol, if we can say that. And it was like I was just trying to check out, and it's like, okay, you want to sign up for an account? We promise not to sell your information, and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, I just want to check out.
It's weird that you have to say that.
Yeah.
Here's my address if you want to send me a receipt. But
now
you got me in this.
I was looking at this is kind of tangential. I was looking at washing machines a while ago. And there was an ad, or not an ad, a notice on the Maytag machines that said, by buying this machine, you agree to never be part of a class action lawsuit against Maytag. I'm like,
is it one of those IoT machines?
I don't know.
That's kind
but
of like
if that's, I don't want to be a part. If you're expecting that and making me promise not to do it, I don't think I want to buy your product.
Sending your information back, which has been a thing for a while.
Yeah. Kind of rolling back though, that's kind of like with the whole thing that happened with Fallout 4. Like, a lot of people wanted to sue Fallout 4 because, like, the biggest thing was, like, they promised these collector's edition bags, and they showed, like, this really beautiful canvas bag, and then it ended up being this really shitty bag. And, like, I don't know how this ended up, but originally, like, when it was happening, people wanted to sue them, and like when you sign up for a Bethesda account or whatever their like account is, you agree to not like you want to file in a certain type of court and not like sue them.
Yeah, that's probably a lot
and
more
so
common than we give credit for.
Yeah,
Probably
and
is.
like it goes back
Nobody
to that
reads
whole
terms and conditions.
and so I think that's like a huge thing too. Is like as these kind of technologies become bigger, like I think it's as much as it sucks, people are going to need to be much more conscientious about like reading those terms and conditions, or at least like skimming them, so that they're aware that they're signing into these things.
Yeah, pretty much any smart device, your TV or your washing machine.
Yeah. But the kind of ironic thing about that though is like there's a lot of like bad about social media, but Bethesda got blasted so hard on social media that like 2.5 years later they finally did deliver the canvas bags.
Yeah, I remember that they fixed it.
Yeah.
Like, fine, you want the thing we advertised.
That we promised you. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That is how we transition this week. We have no segs this week.
That's okay.
That's great.
Segs is I finished the really gross drink, so
good.
be proud of
I know.
me.
I am proud.
Are you ready for something else?
I'm actually kind of impressed.
Oh yeah. Here, I'll give
I
you
don't know. Can the
grossness?
mic pick that up? Do I need to
Wait.
ASMR it a
Oh,
little bit
Spice
more?
Runs
Someone else is gonna have to be.
Drunk Abby's DMing. What are you doing?
Abby's
You're
gonna be
just
like-
saying goodbye to sober Abby.
Abby's just like, so your crew is on the bus.
Hey, you're leveling up. That gives me time to sober up.
So you're leveling up, you bunch of nerds.
You fucking boat boys.
Is abuse?
I can't get over
Is
that.
drunken Abby abusive? What happened?
No, God,
You nerds! I'll give you all wedgies.
Did you send Ben a picture?
Uh-oh.
Of my hair?
Yeah.
No.
Just
No.
leave it
Tell
as a
him?
I
surprise.
told him, yeah, and I also apologize, which I feel very lame and not
No,
feminist about.
no.
But he was also like, you can do what you want with your hair. Like I'm not a huge
There you
fan of
go.
short hair, but
That's
like
the
it's
right
your
answer.
hair.
Yeah,
so
That's the right answer. At least you
Yeah.
got that right.
Answer. Yeah.
So
Good
yeah.
job, Ben.
Again, for people that obviously this is a auditory medium, I buzz cut my whole head, and
What
And
it's
it looks great.
four
Number
four
four.
guard.
There
Yeah,
we go.
four guard. And then I had to tell my boyfriend, and I love him a whole ton, but I was super scared that he would not like it. So he hasn't seen a picture of it yet, though. So
It's okay.
fine.
It's a surprise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ben, you're welcome. That's what Abby means. You're welcome.
What do we got?
All right, we got Carnival Row. Has everyone seen the trailer
The
for it?
Amazon.
Yes.
The new
Yes.
Amazon
Yes.
show.
You're gonna have to
Yes.
share Carnival Row.
So it's a new show coming to Amazon, I think next month or the end of this month,
Yeah.
and it's about like
This is that Orlando Bloom thing.
yes,
Yes.
yes.
Because they keep seeing commercials for it. And I was like, this tells me nothing. Skip.
So I saw another ad for it because I felt the same way the first time I saw an ad. It's like a murder mystery show.
Okay.
But like
Murder
with
mystery
that
romance.
Yeah, with that like connecting line of oh hey, her character loves his character kind of thing.
It's the same way Enemy at the Gates was a war movie,
Yeah.
but
Okay. All right. No, I'd be interested. They just never give me any information.
it's like fairies.
I couldn't tell who
versus-
had the
not
wings
versus,
for a longest
fairies
time.
and humans.
Yeah.
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 But they're like standing back to back. I was like, who owns the wings? Like it took me forever just to figure out who had that. And
Yeah.
now I guess there's a good trailer out that will tell me.
I saw
What
it
the-
I saw
on
one trailer.
on YouTube, I think.
I've
Yeah.
only seen the one trailer I think you are talking about where
Yes.
you're like, oh, there's
The-
fairies in this.
yeah.
and
There's
one
like
of
a
them
2-minute
is
trailer
scared
that
of
kind of
being
explains
joined.
more.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's got to compete with The Boys though, which right now king of Amazon shows.
I don't think
Well, I
it's like
everyone's
in
already
any
seen all of it, so
Yeah.
except me.
Have you?
except me either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the first 3 episodes.
I very much
Okay.
I
So
very much
worth it.
think I very much think they're in different like leagues in the terms of like the fact
Yeah.
that they're different genres. I like the whole concept of this. Oh, we're in like Industrial Revolution England, but
Yeah.
there's also like fairy tale creatures.
Almost feels steampunkish. I don't know if they're
Steampunkish.
going that way.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then like you said, I think the ad that most people have seen, it's just like she's mad at him because she thought he was dead. But then like
Like
Yeah.
the Green Arrow.
Yeah.
Why are you
Yeah.
mad at me? I don't control this.
yeah. But then the other ad I saw, it looks like it's it's supposed to be kind of like a murder mystery,
Okay.
like a per episode, like, oh, someone dies, oh, we need to figure out like what happened, with like the kind of connecting underlying narrative that like they loved each other, but like she thought he died, and then she came to England because what I was getting from that ad is like whatever the fairy like homeland was destroyed, and so they don't really have any other place to go but like actual England, and now there's
Is this an original thing or a comic book?
I don't know.
I don't know actually.
Yeah, I have no clue.
It's very much, and now that I'm thinking of it, and I will also say that I don't know like a huge bit about it, but you know when like famine happened in Ireland and a lot of Irish
The
people
potato
migrated, yeah, it's kind of like that, and then everyone was like fuck Irish people because they were like migrating and there were a bunch of them. It kind of seems like they're doing that kind of story, but instead of Irish people it's like fairies.
Okay.
Okay, I do like period pieces, so
Yeah.
I'll watch it, even though it's
No,
what it is. It's not really a period piece.
I mean,
but yeah.
It's got Orlando Bloom in it, like how could you go wrong?
Charles
Yeah, right.
The
Delavigne.
trailer I saw barely showed that he was in it. It was like the last shot of the trailer.
And
It's
then
like,
he's
oh,
got,
by
like,
the way,
8 lines.
Orlando Bloom is in
BT
it.
dub.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what the heck? It's huge. Why wouldn't you tell me that?
Yeah. Cool. All right. So end there.
Oh, is that the end?
That's the last thing I
There's
have.
got to be something crazy somebody heard about.
Something
now.
crazy. You do a round of what you're watching,
Yeah.
playing, whatever.
Oh, what? Oh, yeah. Go for it. I'm not first. I'm over
Cole,
here.
Cole left. All right, I'll start.
Cole was smart. He ran away. Oh,
yeah.
well, no. He was,
I thought Sammy was here.
you could feel her presence.
Well,
Navidson.
I keep
Oh.
like,
boxing around.
honestly, like, sorry, I like if you guys just heard the table, I keep like touching my head because there's like a
Feels
texture that
good.
happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
It's-
hard when you first shave your head. 'cause
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
so unique.
Yeah.
it does. And I felt like the wind blowing like on my scalp.
Feels
That was
weird,
creepy.
right?
That was
Yeah.
weird. Yeah.
But drying it was sweet, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Boom.
And only
Done.
having to use
Amazing.
like with the shampoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
I guess so. Since I'm talking about my hair, things that I've been playing this week. So still on the Dragon Age Inquisition horse. The new or the actual like full version of Oxygen Not Included released this
Oh.
week.
Nice.
I haven't quite dove into it yet, but Klein, I think, is the name of the company that released it. Same people that do Don't Starve. It's a super fun game. It's super like complicated in terms of like you can set like importance of actions and that kind of thing.
Wow.
For like your like people
So what
to
kind of a
complete.
game? What type of game are we talking about here?
It's like survival.
Okay,
So the whole
like Don't
concept
Starve
is
together.
yeah.
Okay.
So the whole concept is you are like a group of people on a colony in outer space, and you have to like set up everything from like bathrooms to like food stations. But the extra added like mechanic is that like there's limited oxygen, and the further you expand and like the more like machines you build, the less oxygen you have. So you have to build all of those, and then all of your people have, you know, I need to use the bathroom, I need to like eat kind of needs. It's neat. It seems very very like difficult in terms that it's very like punishing if like you don't do certain things. So like as an example, like you can set up bathrooms, but you actually need to have water that you like pump from a different like cavern to
Oh my
the
God.
bathrooms.
So it's pretty
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and
You're
if you don't
involved.
set up your bathrooms in time, your like characters are gonna pee themselves, and they have bacteria, and then they're gonna
Oh my
spread
God,
the
that's
bacteria. Like, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
super in depth, but like super punishing, but like super kind of cute and quirky too. It's been in beta for a long time, but they released like the full version recently.
Is this the Steam
so,
game then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
So early access.
Not early access anymore. Now it's like, if I'm not mistaken, like
For
the
reals?
full Whamadine game.
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Okay.
So,
Because I have an issue with those early access
Same.
games. I just,
Yeah.
out of principle, I won't fund you.
Early access open world crafting.
yeah.
I always
But
have
you
a
can
friend
only
who's
have,
like,
like,
let's
one
play this
thing.
multiplayer
Yeah,
game.
yeah.
And I'm like, it's not even real if it's still in
Yeah.
Yeah.
early access.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay, so I've been playing. I started playing Resident Evil 0 because it was on sale for $7 on PSN this weekend.
Good deal.
So bought that. Got like, I'm still on like the early part of it, and then it's old enough that it still has that like ink ribbon save system.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet.
And I played for like 45 minutes since my last save and couldn't find another typewriter.
Oh god.
So I was like, cool, I guess I'll put my PlayStation in rest mode.
Guess it's a good feature.
And then like the next day I wanted to play something else. I was like, fuck it. I'll just...
Oh, wow. You
I'll
actually
just-
made that call?
I did. I did, yeah. So, but I mean, it's Resident Evil.
Maybe
it's good.
PlayStation needs to start doing that. Have some kind of save state.
Yeah, like an
Apple
emulator.
does.
Yeah.
That very like vaguely reminds me of like because you left it on that in Bloodborne, like when it first came out. I don't know if they ever patched it, but when Bloodborne first came out, you can like leave on your like console for like 12 hours.
Yeah.
And then the bosses would become easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that reminds me of that. Yeah. I don't know if they ever like patched it so it didn't happen, but
what there was it Metal Gear Solid 3? That one boss battle where like if you just left the game alone for like 48 hours, the boss would die of old age.
Ah,
Yeah,
awesome.
it was a sniper battle.
What a cheesy thing, but it's funny all the same. I like it.
Yeah. But so yeah, I'm playing that, and it's Resident Evil. So like I was telling, I think Tyke and maybe Abby, I was on voice chat with some other friends who were playing other games, and like for me, Resident Evil isn't the kind of game that you need to like get in the mood for.
I think the newest one is the
7
the
is much
7?
different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Resident Evil 0, like it's cheesy, it's fun. It's not. I can chat with other people while I'm playing it. Like I said, it's not like Silent Hill or The Evil Within where I want to
Doesn't take you out.
turn out the lights. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Because I remember
Resident
the original
Evil,
was all about jump scares, you know.
Yeah, but Resident Evil, like I don't feel the need to be like in the game the same way I do. Yeah, with like Evil Within or Silent Hill or Fatal Frame or something like that. So yeah, I was playing with that, chatting with friends, and I started watching Dark. Which is this?
I've seen it. What is it about?
I think it's a Finnish show.
What's the?
I've heard
Like
of it.
some kids start disappearing in this town,
Okay.
but like the style is really, really weird, and it's kind of maybe supernatural. Cole is dropping dice,
Not the good dice.
but not the middle dice.
I watched this other one that is very similar. It's like Murder at Hotel blah blah blah. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And the whole concept is like the main character, the very first episode she dies, and she's like a ghost, and the whole other episodes are her like trying to figure out how she died.
It's not made by me.
No, I don't think so.
I know, right?
No, it's like Murder at, and it's like the name of the hotel that she was like murdered
What
at.
was that video game where you were like murdered and had to figure out who murdered you?
A game?
Actually, I think it was called Murdered.
Oh wow.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah, you played like a poltergeist who was trying to figure out who murdered him.
And what
Yeah.
system is the platform?
PlayStation 2
PlayStation?
maybe?
No, I would have missed it then.
It's an
I've been
older
Xbox for life until like
Okay.
PlayStation 4.
one. Okay, yeah.
That was me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like Xbox forever,
waffled.
and then like Xbox, or as they call it, Xbone came
Yeah.
out, and I was like, this thing fucking sucks, and I went over to PS4.
Yeah.
Or PS4 just for the exclusives.
Yeah.
That's fair.
They're good.
I've never
Spider-Man
been a one
is
or the
really
other.
fucking good.
Yeah.
I can't think of one bad exclusive.
No.
I think the only reason I ever got an Xbox 360 was for Halo. Because I was like, this is the exclusive. This is
Yeah.
what I want. Because
Yeah,
the
whatever
PlayStation
happened?
3 exclusives were garbage, so...
Whoever had that Master Chief collection or whatever they were going to
It's-
put
It
out
was
on
bad.
PC.
It's still pending, yeah.
No, there was the Master
Still
Chief
loading.
collection that came out on the Xbone.
Oh yeah, and
But
they
I want the
fucked.
PC version.
They fucked the release, but the PC
Yeah.
version is coming out eventually.
Yeah.
And they said Reach is going to be on release day.
That's
so.
the Nathan Fillion one?
Don't touch
Reach.
Nathan
Wait,
Fillion
what?
was in
Nathan
one of these.
Fillion?
Was it Reach?
No. Yeah, he was, wasn't he?
He was
did
in
voice
one of
in
those things
them,
where they
I
had
think.
like regular grunts. They weren't Spartans.
Yeah.
They were like regular grunts.
ODST maybe?
ODST, there you
yeah.
go.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Do they have that one?
I think that one's
I
being
think
left out
it's-
of the collection.
Yeah.
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and Reach.
Don't touch Reach.
Reach is so fucking good.
Yeah.
I think they're
Don't
just
touch
leaving
Reach.
it the same. They're just porting it.
They better fucking
Good.
not touch
And the
Reach.
multiplayer from 4 and Reach better be identical. Reach
that-
multiplayer and 4 multiplayer was awesome.
Ports from consoles to PC are always tricky. Like the Resident Evil port to PC is god awful.
Yeah.
I didn't mind
It's
the
just-
original Halo.
The-
port.
It's still like the control prompts that still say like press A and B.
Oh.
It's
The
like no, that's not on
That's
my.
always
I mean that's
fun.
on my keyboard, but that's not what I'm pressing.
the original
my-
Dark Souls was god awful on PC too, because
Yeah.
it was just a console game that got a port.
Yeah.
It always makes me laugh at PlayStation users when they take their PC game that still uses the old Xbox buttons, like press X, and like, well, X is on the bottom. Like, no, that's
Yeah.
not X.
Yeah.
It's over there.
Yeah.
So someone's asked me what the controls are, and I'm giving totally wrong directions. I'm like, right bumper. What the hell's a right
The bumper.
bumper? You mean R1?
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
there are so many things that like I've you don't really know what A, X, Y, whatever is because you've played it for so long. It's just like muscle memory.
Yeah.
And so if someone ever asks me like, what is this button? I sit there for like 10 minutes. And I think we had this conversation where we have like this existential terror when someone asks us how to do something and we realize that we just do it on instinct. And then when we think about how to do it, it's like, how the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
That's how it goes when someone asks me, oh, hey, what button are you pushing on your controller to make you do this? You sit there for like 10 minutes and it's like, what fucking button am I actually pushing? Because it's so like ingrained in you that like
makes those QuickTime events awfully fun.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
You got to do the conversion in your head.
When I was playing Detroit, like I don't know why. So like triangle and X are fine for me, but for some reason square and circle, I get them confused all the time. I failed so many QTEs in Detroit because of that. Like
the color kind of helps, but not really.
No, it doesn't at all because I'm not looking at my controller.
Yeah.
For some reason, like up and down is fine, but like
don't they keep the colors the same, or am I wrong on that? Because
I
I couldn't even tell you the PlayStation colors offhand. I can tell the Xbox colors, no problem.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't remember.
Switching from Xbox to PlayStation though was a ride.
Oh, that's rough.
Switching from Switch to any other game controller is garbage.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, A is up where B usually is now.
Yeah.
Time to just hit A, and then you switch to an Xbox controller, and you're like, oh, backed out of that menu. Oop, canceled that action.
It's like going from Japanese games to American games, where like in Japanese games, circle is confirm, and X is cancel. But American games, X is confirm and triangle is cancel. It's like, what am I doing here? I'm
the
lost.
last Nintendo game I played was the Cube, and that takes it just takes everything you know about controllers and throws it out the window.
Yeah.
The C stick, the what?
The what? Yeah.
Anytime they call and I know they're called joysticks, but anytime they call a joystick, I'm like, what the fuck is that? Like,
it's a thumbstick.
This little thumbstick thing.
Yeah,
like,
it's not a joystick.
And even then, it's like
a
right or left
needs
thumbstick.
your whole hand.
Like, yeah.
Celeste.
You watching anything?
Oh, I finally started Ancillary Justice. I'm not super far, but so far the concept is dead humans and an intergalactic war become hosts for AI, and so that's basically your corpse becomes a commodity, and it's.
What is this? Is it a movie or a game?
It's a book.
It's a book.
Cool.
Okay.
By Anne Leckie. So it's part of a trilogy, but so far it's pretty intense.
Leckie. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'll let you know how it goes. I'm not very far to give updates.
Book club podcast. I'll cover it.
There you go.
And
okay.
In all honesty, that sounds really good, but I am still in total what is the word? I don't remember the word, but I'm still really into those fantasy romance young adult novel kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, so the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. Have you heard? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're making that into an Amazon TV show.
Ooh.
Yeah, 2021,
Abby's very
2020.
Yeah.
She's so excited she forgot to
No, she
breathe.
can't hold it in.
I think it's the
She's
cold.
crying. It's so good.
I've been really. They can't hear me when I'm saying this. Sorry. I think it's the cold, not the can't. Super excited. I've been really into the Court of Mist and Fury series by Sarah J. Maas.
Yeah.
And she's releasing other series,
right.
but not the new one for that series. And I'm like, no, but I want to know more about this universe.
Right. I see. I think that she's doing it on purpose because I feel there's just so much hype and pressure around that series that's
Yeah.
It'll be good. It'll be worth the
Thank you,
wait.
by the way.
Yeah.
Dan has provided me with cough drops. I'm recovering from a cold.
Cole.
Oh no. God damn.
There goes Mr. Halls. I read Chew
It's a good thing
Volume
there's 40 more in there.
Chew Volume 3 today. Super good. I
You
read.
already read that?
Yeah. I read Injustice Year 2. Super good. Spider-Man came in the mail today, so I'm starting that soon.
The game.
Yeah, the game.
Spider-Man, the game, is really good. And so is Chew Volume 3.
Yeah.
You're making good media choices, Cole.
Chew is good. Really good. I love Chew. And then...
Anything by Rob Guillory is worth reading.
And then I'm still chugging along through The Boys. I need
Nice.
to get more consistent at that, yeah.
I kind of want to have to read the books now. I'm gonna have to bother Tyke and be like,
give me books. They have them for sale at Comics and Gaming now.
Really? Like like anthology books
like
that squeeze them all together?
I think a trade paperback. Yeah.
Okay.
They had a really thick like trade number 2 there today.
Yeah. I noticed that.
Because I hear there's a lot of differences between the two, and now I have to read
I'm sure.
Like significant differences.
I think the comic can afford to be a little more vulgar too than the show even is already.
Because
Even
didn't,
on, like,
didn't
a
someone say they
subscription
cut
service,
some
you
stuff?
think?
Yeah, there was a scene, if anyone cares, but I don't want to ruin anything, is apparently they shot a scene because the director had to let go of one that he made they really liked, where Homelander, which is their Superman clone, he goes up on top of, I don't know, a Chrysler building, something super tall, and just starts wanking it.
Oh.
I do whatever I want. I do whatever I want. Just sort of like an expression of his like he's untouchable.
Power. Yeah. Okay.
But he's not quite right in the head other ways sexually. But,
Sure.
But apparently, like Amazon was like, no, you gotta cut that, and he was like, all right, I'll let it go. But apparently, like things are significantly different in the book versus the comic book. In the comic book, apparently the initial like thing that happens to Starfire, is that her name? Starbright.
Starbright.
What happens to her? It's not the Deep that does it, but it's like Homelander. I think maybe Black Noir and the other guy. Like just all the other dudes, not the Deep.
Wow.
Oh.
In a group, like 3 of them, were
Oh
like,
my
"Hey, do this
Oh.
thing," and so it's like significantly different in a lot of ways.
Okay.
It's very interesting. So now I have to read because I like that sort of what if, like let's take a different spin on it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, as much as you can hate it when a TV show does something different, in a way, it's nice because you get to see 2 different ways that things could have gone.
See, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but the whole kind of concept of the boys is like, what would the actual repercussions of these people with superpowers be?
Yes.
Realistically.
Like if they're still people.
Yeah, and I think that's like cool, but at the same time, from even what I've seen in the like trailers of that, I feel like it's a little too like intense for me.
It's extreme because they got to get
Yeah.
it all out within those shows, so they can't really be normal most of the time.
Yeah, well, like, and I think one of the trailers is like the speedy dude like explodes someone, and it's super graphic.
Yeah.
Like, I like the whole like subversive, like these people are people too, and like shit happens. But I feel like stuff like that is a little too much for me in terms of like what I like to see in media.
Yeah, that's kind of their shtick right now, at least for the show.
Yeah.
Is to just take things way over.
It's very shocking.
A lot of shock value.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, there's this culture around superheroes right now. We're gonna make this a very like realistically what would happen, and it's super like here's what would
Raunchy,
actually be
almost.
the horrifying truth of it. Yeah.
Well, and I think you can do like superheroes if they were real or people too, without being super shocking. Like I'm reading like Cold Let Me, Mr. Miracle, and a lot of that is about like there's a whole issue which is basically just Mr. Miracle and Big Barda fighting over what to do with their condo, like whether to put a new bathroom in. Like they're normal people. And like and like on the other end, like I was reading Heroes in Crisis, which is kind of about like the mental health toll that like being a superhero takes on you, and it's kind of like humanizes them a bit, and like this is some really fucked up shit
It feels
Superman
like the
goes
boys
through.
could have gone that way, but they didn't really
Choose
choose.
Kind of
to,
went for like shock value more.
Yeah.
And I'm not super into shock value for like media
Like-
because it's disturbing to me,
And
which
it's easy
it's
and
fair.
easy.
Like, yeah.
Like the show could delve more into the psychology of the superhero and why they are screwed up the way they are, but they're more about the other stuff.
Have you seen the entire season?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're saying like it doesn't go that
It's
far.
all there, and they could talk about it more, but they
don't.
tend to focus more on action
Okay.
than psychological like delving into. But it's there.
That's a shame.
It's interesting. Like that's why I want to read
good
the
to know,
comic
though.
book. They
Yeah.
usually take
Yeah.
the time, right? To
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
All right, let's play D&D.
All right. So we're gonna call
Yeah.
this episode of Muddled Dice, and we're gonna play D&D. Thanks everyone for listening. We really appreciate it. If you like the show, please consider donating to any of the organizations in the description. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.